Hey, what's up, everybody? In this crash course tutorial for Cyborg by Free League Publishing and Stockholm Cartel, I'm going to go over the setting and style. Let's get into it.
Cybernation Uncensored.
All right, so what is Cyborg? Cyborg is basically the cyberpunk version of Morkborg by Stockholm Cartel and Free League Publishing. If you're not familiar with Morkborg, don't worry. You don't need to know that game to understand Cyborg. You just need to love Cyberpunk because Cyborg is very much Cyberpunk with a touch of horror, I might add. I'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, there is, cyberware, extreme weapons, and the city of Psy, where the game is based around, has everything from the slums, like combat zone style areas, all the way through industrial up to the hills where the elite live. Look, there's the map right there coming through. But yeah, it's very much cyberpunk, very much style over substance. You'll see that when you get into the book and the very light rules and very heavy artwork and style that's put in there. But yeah, there's everything from very evil corporations, which I might add. The book puts in there something along the lines like, all these rules are made to be broken, but there's one rule you cannot break, and that is that these are your enemies. And then it lists like, all these corporations. But yeah, it's, got the evil corporations, the crazy gangs. It even has cults that are based around this thing that it's a role that you can pick called a shunned nanomancer. It's based around being infected by this bacteria on nanorobots that came down on a meteor, came from space basically, hit the center of Psy, the city of Psy, causing this area in the center that they call Ground Zero or G0, where it hit, it got infected, people got mutated or kind of infected by this bacteria, I'll say. I go deeper in that on the crash course about shunned nanomancers and character creation. But ultimately, yeah, they dropped bombs, they tried to kill it. So there's this sort of like ground zero area in Psy, and that's where, there's these sort of like nano freaks, as you see their ironic timing in the overlay. But there's like these infected nano freak sort of creatures and different versions of things. And then, like I said, shunned nanomancer role, which is, your character that's infected by that or infested by that bacteria that gives you a certain, possible abilities, but also infestations. And it's just kind of crazy. And that's absolutely the horror aspect to this game. That's what brings in the horror into Cyberpunk. And let me tell you, I love it. What I love about Cyberpunk is the fact it can be so dangerous. It's the dystopian dark future, but it can be very dangerous. But, and let me say, Cyborg has all of that. It's the dark future, it's dystopian, it definitely has all the extremes of like high-tech, low-life, extreme low-life. But what I love about Cyborg is that it has that horror element. I love horror. I love the dark, dangerous, sort of scary, thrilling, suspenseful, paranoia aspect of that horror. And having that ground zero there with infestations and just that craziness just adds an element to this Cyberpunk that I love. But yeah, before I get deeper into other elements of the game and the setting and style, let me read you this little intro from the book because I think it kind of sets a tone. But constantly in flux, shifting, distorting, always reborn as something worse. Destruction by ecological catastrophes, the fallout of history's belligerence, by modern man-made miseries, or the blood spilled by the reckless machine of capitalist supremacy. Mankind's greatest ability truly is to destroy itself in creative ways. Designer demise, consumer customized death, endless on repeat. Poisonous space rocks, nuclear weapons, cyclical revolutions, warring nations, warring corporations, warring neighbors, pandemics, tsunamis, volcanoes. In between it all, direct person-machine interfaces, tactical neural implants, and bacteria from outer space hijacking intercellular nanorobotics. And the sky is full of ads. Everyone is interfaced, injected, infected, infested with something. Everyone wants something from everyone else. Everyone is a liar and a cheat. Everyone wants more creds. Welcome to the year 2000 X3. Welcome to the city of the Psy. And I think that absolutely sets a tone. I love that that's the intro. You get just a dangerous feel. You get a feeling of the extremes, right? The extreme, the highs and lows, the high-tech, low life. And yeah, that intro absolutely summarizes it for me. And it also kind of expresses the way that the book is, you know. You'll see in my CNU reviews video, I kind of go over that in detail, but, you know, hate it or love it, this book has style. The artwork is the dominant force in this book. It's very, you know, rule light, even lore light. They sprinkle in little tidbits of lore that you can kind of take and expand on. And, excuse me, I think that sets the tone of Cyborg. You know, it just makes it immersive and dangerous. Look, real life is like that, you know. We all pretend like we know what's going on and we've got life figured out, but, you know, we're all confused and we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants and we're trying to survive and keep moving forward. I think the rules in the book are set out to kind of encompass that vibe and just set that sort of tone, and I love it. You know, like the rules are kind of in different sections. The lore and kind of like the setting is vague, and it just gives you little seeds that you can build from, and I think that's very immersive and lifelike. It allows the GM to make it their own. You interpret it how you interpret it. You want to lean heavier into the horror, heavier into the cyberware, heavier into combat, more into the hills, more into the, you know, politics. It's up to you. And there's little tidbits of that throughout the book. I love it. It doesn't just kind of lay a concrete plan that you have to stick to. It just kind of sets these tones and vibes. And then it's dominated by all this artwork that absolutely puts forth this just chaotic cyberpunk vibe. You can see it here in the overlay. I have it kind of scrolling through a bunch of different artwork and images from the book. But yeah, speaking of Ground Zero, I mentioned the horror aspect. Let's go to the book and let me just kind of read this section to you about G0, Ground Zero, because it explains it. It sets that tone even better than me explaining it straight from the book. This is where the rock fell, where the bombs dropped. A post-apocalyptic quagmire kept in quarantine by a massive wall monitored by auto turrets and armed drones. Entering the sector without proper protection is still a death sentence. If the murderous nano freaks, pockets of nerve gas, or radioactive space dust don't kill you, then whatever the hell makes that noise at night will. Most of the area is waterlogged scrap and warped steel. But some of the oldest medieval parts of Psy still stand. Scrapheads looking for antique junk, smugglers running goods, cultists seeking their profane truth, and scientists looking for a way to profiteer from the fallout are the only beings you'll meet there. The only humans, that is. And I love that because, you know, it's like you might run into some of these like scavengers and scientists and like, you know, cultists and stuff, but, you know, those are the only like human beings that you're going to meet, because like I said earlier, there's these nano freaks and things that have been infested and mutated from that bacteria that you'll find in that G0, that sort of walled in center of the city, where things do kind of get out once in a while and creep out. And like I said, the infestation has gotten into some of the people of Psy, and that's what that role is, the shunned Nanomancer. But yeah, that's, you know, pretty much G0. The other aspect of this game I want to kind of get into that really sets the style and sets it apart from other cyberpunk games, and I think it's kind of a cool focus, is the fact that the city is broken up. You can see there in the map, broken up into these little districts and stuff with all these bridges, because it's all flooded. There's all these waterways that have come in the city that have flooded in between these districts and stuff, and it's all polluted and fucked up. It just makes like immersive sense of a dark dystopian future, and I love it. Let me in fact read you some of this section about the water, being on the water, because the entire city is pretty much on the water. But the city is a convulsing, infected leviathan. The concrete and crystal facades are its tattered flesh. The many lakes, canals, and channels, its acrid veins, pumping acidic waters, fetid waste and bloated corpses through its sluices and floodgates. Beneath the spider's web of bridges connecting Cy's many isles is the never-ending bustle of taxi boats, market barges, floating homes, and supertankers plowing through fatbergs and filth-foaming waves. It isn't potable, but Synergy Water and Power Co. and others are willing to market anything to the desperate. Everyone needs water. And let me tell you, I think it is just absolutely beautiful wordplay to mention the polluted waters having fatbergs. That just sounds disgusting, and it makes sense. But you can see how the city just, aside from the different districts, the extreme slums and hills and industrial areas and polluted aspects and infestation from, G0 and just the hardness of being a cyberpunk dystopian future, you also have this polluted flood that is, gone through the city and just kind of infected in between districts. And it goes on to explain, like, beyond there, the barges, the cages, the siren soundings of hollow beacons that have been abandoned, and things just beyond that into the dark waters and wastelands and stuff. But ultimately this game is focused around the city of Cy, and believe me, everything you need is there. You can absolutely come up with the most messed up campaigns and stories based on this, because as you see, Cyborg is all about style over substance. So just pour that style in and make it as dangerous as possible. And definitely let me know in the comments, what you think about the different styles and settings for Cyborg and the city of Cy. If there's different things that maybe I didn't expand on or mention in this video, I'd love to hear your opinion on it as well as your homebrew. Because like I said, the style and setting of Cy and Cyborg is absolutely open for homebrew. It just gives you little seeds of info and flavor and setting and style that you expand on as a GM. So I'd love to hear what you've come up with as a GM or even as a player to kind of bring this world to life and just make Cyborg, more and more cyberpunk and dangerous, and that horror element. I love hearing about your encounters in G0 and all that stuff. But yeah, leave me a comment. Also, leave a like on this video. I'd love to support and give it a share. Let's give more attention to Cyborg, Free League Publishing, and Stockholm Cartel, because they did an amazing job with this game. All right, I'll see y'all in the next video. Take care.
Cybernation Uncensored.